Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of From No Crypto to No Crypto. I'm your host, the Crypto Coach, Blockchain Wayne. Today we're joined by Pradeep from PAI3. Pradeep, thanks for joining us today.
It's a pleasure, Wayne. Thanks for having me again.
Absolutely, man. Look, we did this podcast a few months ago, interviewed you, and a lot has changed and happened with PAI3. At the time we talked, you were just taking over as CEO, but I felt it was important to get you back here to talk about the great things that you all are doing, what you see happening in the market, and also you've got a really great insight in terms of why PAI3 is different in the AI field and what it can specifically be used for, and really solving a real need that's out there. It's not just saying this is another AI tool. This is something that solves a need that many people have, people, professionals, business, healthcare, government, the whole gambit of people that can't use typical AI. So I wanted to get you back in to talk about that. So definitely thanks again for joining us today. My
pleasure.
Absolutely. My first question to you, and just for anybody who may have not watched the last podcast, tell us a little bit about kind of your background. Where do you where did you come from? What is your experience? Because that's also going to lead into why PAI3, basically, right?
Sure. So first, thanks for having me again. So my background is technology. I worked in healthcare and insurance and government for the last 30 plus years. I started in the early 90s. So I've built some really large systems that people use, health savings accounts, Medicare, Medicaid, payment processing, claims adjudication. So systems that are used for millions and billions of transactions every year. And over the years, I got to see healthcare and government agency operations and insurance operations from the inside. So learned a lot and also realized that we got to do things a lot better than we've been doing. So that brings me to Web3, blockchain, and now AI.
Absolutely. And you've been in the blockchain space for a while now, right? You've built a company.
Yeah, I think you can call me an OG. People are referring to folks like me who got into blockchain with an intent to really deliver consumer-centric, sovereign solutions for data, identity, payments. I took up the blockchain mantle in 2017, and I really believe in it. And I think that we have come a long ways from when I first started. And along the way, we have built some really fascinating systems that have made a big difference. So yes, I'm a big blockchain OG.
Definitely. Yeah. And that's important. I think, and this is kind of what draws me to PAI3 and other projects that I'm passionate about, is there's a lot of people building solutions and building stuff with blockchain tech. They're building a product and then trying to find out what it solves, right? They're thinking tech first and then what problems can it solve afterwards.
Right.
Like you said, you took the user-centric approach, which is what we need more of in terms of what are the problems and how can this solve some of those problems. So that's always my passion. So when you see me, why am I bringing you back on the podcast so soon as when I'm passionate about something that is going to solve a real need and not just another blockchain solution, another crypto project. Okay, how is that going to be used? And it's pretty clear to see that that's what you all are doing at PAI3. So let's start with the basis of PAI3. What is PAI3 and what solutions are you looking to solve?
So PAI3 is a decentralized AI network which gives you a privacy-preserving alternative to cloud-based AI. And there are a lot of great solutions around AI that are coming fast. And whether it's OpenAI, XAI, Gemini, or you're talking about Cursor, or you're talking about many other layers on top of, they're all built on a cloud-based AI. And they're great for what they do, but they are not really suitable for use in business and government and anything where privacy preservation is important. In fact, AI is a data hog. Anything you tell it is going to use it, right, for its own purposes. So you can't really say, well, I can count on AI to respect my privacy. It is simply not designed to do that. It's designed to absorb and learn and remember everything. And AI has perfect memory. Whatever you tell it, it'll remember forever. So in that sense, it's a very difficult and dangerous environment for business to use. So if you're a doctor and you want to use AI in your business, you can't really legally do it. And some doctors are doing it on the side. They're trying to copy paste lab results without copying pasting your name and date of birth and so on. But if their insurance company finds out that they've been doing that, they could lose their liability insurance and they would go out of business. So in many ways, the use of AI in regulated industry is being done either inappropriately or not at all. So that's one problem we're solving. We're saying, look, if you have a decentralized AI network where privacy is paramount and where data never leaves your domain, you never lose custody of your data, so you are compliant with HIPAA or GDPR or PCA. There are hundreds of regulations that govern, private data. As a doctor, you're not allowed to just shove a patient's medical records into ChatGPT. So that's one problem we solve. We are a decentralized AI network where every node is operating in the hands of a node operator, and every node is then meshed with other nodes to give you an alternative to AWS or OpenAI. And it comes packed with a lot of functionality that you can deploy immediately in your business. So that's what PAI3 does. It essentially gives you an alternative mechanism to deploy really powerful agents in your business and never lose custody of your data.
Right, and that's important. You mentioned some industries, but any business that has sensitive data or proprietary data, right? I don't want to be able to, and this is one that I think of when I think of it outside of healthcare law. Those cases make great sense, but if I've got a business that has proprietary information, or I share that with AI to train it to better serve me in my business, and the typical model, the centralized model, where it's going to a cloud somewhere, someone else can say, hey, give me a great idea for a business model, and they could basically spit out what you've come up with.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, anytime you train a model, first, the training of the model. So that's the other problem, actually. We'll talk about that in a minute. When you use a generalized LLM to solve specific problems, it's going to either hallucinate or give you generic answers, maybe better than Google, but not a lot more useful. So you really can deploy, you could ask somebody, hey, how to deal with diabetes, and ChatGPT will give you a very nice theoretical framework on how to manage diabetes. But you say, how should Pradeep manage his risk of diabetes? That answer is not useful unless it knows about my medical information, my entire genetic family history. First, you can't share that information with ChatGPT. You shouldn't. And second, even if it does get that, it is going to lack some context. So without that context, it's going to give me incomplete answers. So as a doctor, what do I use ChatGPT for? I use it to research something. But I can't really use it to run a very specific scenario saying, these are the 2,000 parameters that are interconnected, and what do I need to do to make sure that this kid stays healthy or this patient doesn't develop diabetes? Yeah, you can get specific answers. So you have a trade-off. Either you live with generic inference, and then you still sit around and think what to do, or you give very precise information to the model which you can't share. So you're caught in between this gray zone, where as a professional, you would love to use AI, but you can't share everything you need to share. And at the same time, what you get is not very useful. And even if people find out that you're using a cloud-based AI, you also could lose your license or your insurance. So you're kind of doing this on the side, and it's really unmanageable and unsustainable. So with PAI3, we solve all those issues. You can run a custom model that knows everything about diabetes. Maybe won't tell you the height of the Mount Everest because it doesn't care,
Right.
but it will really know how to deal with diabetic care models based on American Diabetes Association's guidelines, based on your personal health records. And you can only do that if you're using a solution like PAI3.
Definitely. And so let's talk some about the network, because that's an important piece of it, right? We hear all the time, Meta, OpenAI, and others are spending billions, hundreds of billions of dollars, right, to build these large data centers that are going to process all of that data in a centralized model. So what makes PAI3 different in terms of the network structure?
So first is, our PAI3 network is based on PAI3 power nodes. So PAI3 power node is a very cool, densely packed AI server that you acquire, and that PAI3 node sits literally in your drawer or on the side of your office desk, and it's about 10 inches high. But it is densely packed with different models, which refresh over time. You can build your own custom models on this server, and these servers are interconnected to create a private cloud. So if you remember, before the internet, we used to have DARPA-based nets, and those are only connected on DARPA-approved machines, and then everybody who was authorized could log in before internet became globally available. So we are going to saying AI should be a private network for business, where anybody can join in, but they then respect and use the network in the right way. And the network parameters are that you can use a single or multiple nodes to really take care of your use case, and none of that data will become public. So in that sense, the simplest way to think of Pi3 is a private cloud, and that private cloud runs on 3,000, approximately 3,100 power nodes. And if you're running a power node, you have something similar to Ethereum node or something similar to a Bitcoin rig. But there's only 3,000 of these nodes available worldwide, and the objective is that all these nodes connected give you enough power to run pretty much any business model you want to run. So in that sense, how it is different is there is no Sam Altman or Mark Zuckerberg deciding, your access to the network. It's open. Any business, any doctor, any lawyer, any accountant, any user, any gamer, any TradFi investor, any DeFi investor can just go in to the Pi3 network and access agents, build agents, run agents. But in sense of data is always localized. So there is no corporate control, there is no data sharing, there is no models being trained on anybody's data. And that's the other thing. Pi3 network isn't for training models. For the most part, it's for using models. You can train models on absolutely, but those models are trained on a specific data set. So everybody else who's using the network, their data is being consumed by the models at all, in the sense that your data remains private. So in a simple nutshell, it's decentralized private AI network that you can run and operate a node yourself. Everybody can use it safely. There is no access control, but everybody's data remains localized. Agents and models can be shared across the network. You can customize a model for yourself. You can make a model known for others. And that way, if I build a really cool diabetes management model, then all of you can use it because I put it out as a shared model. Or I can build it for my own business and not share it. So this whole economic model for Pi3 is completely the other side of cloud-based, SaaS-based AI. It's permissionless access, individually owned nodes, completely decentralized infrastructure, completely localized data, and no data sharing across nodes.
Gotcha. So one of the questions that I got from someone recently I was talking to, his question is, obviously there's 3,140, what's the exact number of nodes? That's going to be
3141.
So 3141 nodes. Obviously, you're not going to have every practice, every clinic, everybody to have their own power node.
Absolutely.
But those that get the nodes, there's a scarcity piece to that, which is very attractive from, from a financial standpoint and from controlling your data. But tell us a little bit about that technology that keeps that data private on that node. Like, say, I know right now you have a handful of clinics that are in Florida that are running, and if that node is not at site of that one clinic, what's the technology in the power node that keeps that private?
Yeah, so power nodes are your foundational nodes on which, in the crypto world, we call them Genesis nodes, but they're really the nodes where AI is mined. So same as how you mine Bitcoin on a rig, the Pi3 nodes are built to mine AI inference, and they are automatically updated on the air. So if somebody publishes a new model, and it's meant to be on all nodes, it'll circulate on all the nodes overnight. So it's really a publicly owned infrastructure. It's DeepIn in the true sense. Now, a lot of DeepIn runs on cloud behind the scenes, right? People say, I'm running a node for this machine, this blockchain or that protocol, but ultimately they're running it on Amazon or Google or DigitalOcean or something like this. So most of Web3 actually is still sitting on Web Foundation, on the cloud foundation. That's the ugly truth. We didn't want to do that. So our nodes are physical devices. They're beautifully manufactured, highly densely packed, GPU, CPU, disk, RAID, huge amounts of memory device that sits in a 10-inch footprint. You can literally slide it into your sock drawer and not know it's there. So, but these nodes connect to give you a pretty powerful AI inference network, right? And any inference on the network, revenue is shared across the nodes. So whether it's your node or my node computing, you get the bulk of the revenue. The rest of the nodes also share in that revenue. So no matter where the node is being consumed, the one in Singapore, the one in US, the network keeps growing. There's a shared component and there's a more focused component of the revenue. But it gets distributed automatically as tokens, so nobody is in the middle taking a piece of it. So that's one big thing. So that's what it is. It's a physical hardware-based DPN infrastructure. So you don't need Amazon Cloud. You don't need access to Google Cloud or DigitalOcean Infra or Rackspace or whatever. You literally, and it's designed for even a grandma to open the box, plug it into power, configure one thing, Wi-Fi access or plug in an Ethernet cable, but most people will connect it to Wi-Fi, and you're done. And now you're part of this global infrastructure. You're powering it. You can use it. You can access it. So that's the infrastructure component. So Pi3 is physical DeepIn, right? There is no secrets here. There's no secret cloud running where people are saying, well, yeah, I'm running a node, but it's actually just running on Amazon. None of that is possible. You just open the node, you plug it in, you're done. So in that, we wanted to bring it back to DeepIn's true intent, because in Web3, we have great ideas. A lot of people want to do the right thing, but then we get seduced by the quick, easy money. And then people start doing things that we shouldn't be doing. And as a result, you end up with a very compromised blockchain. Or you end up with a very centralized one party controlling the whole protocol. You end up with the whales running everything. In our world, that's not possible because you have physically 3,000 node operators or 3,000 nodes. Yeah, you could accumulate 100 nodes, but you would have 100 nodes. You couldn't accumulate the other nodes because they are sitting all over the world. So we are a physical DeepIn rather than a virtual DeepIn, which ultimately runs in the cloud anyway. So that's one thing. Now, as a doctor, if I don't have a power node, great, no problem. You download a professional node, and a professional node runs on your laptop, your desktop. You could run it even on a cloud. It doesn't really matter because a professional node is how you organize your data and how you enter the Pi3 cloud. So your access point to the Pi3 cloud can be a software node or a hardware node. As a user, you don't have to have a hardware node to use it. You can just have a software node. That software node is called professional node. And that costs $314. So a doctor can easily afford it, download it, and that professional node will organize your data. It will create cabinets per patient or cabinets per disease condition. It gives you a lot of power to organize the data, and it lets you initiate all the agents on the Pi3 network. So if you want to chat with, let's say, a diabetic care agent, if you want to make that chat agent available to all your patients who have or may be at risk of diabetes, you can train that agent. It'll run on the Pi3 nodes. But anybody using their phone anywhere in the world who has access to your chat agent or is a client or patient of yours can now talk to your diabetes care agent. Or you could build a scheduling agent. They don't need to call your office. They could literally say, hey, doc, my kid is running 102-degree temperature for 2 days. Should I go to urgent care? Should I come to your clinic? And the agent can say, well, given the persistence of fever, we need to have you come in right away, and we're going to open up the office for you for the evening hours. There's so much you can do. As an example, and this is what we are doing, by the way, in Florida, in Jacksonville, is optimizing care for children, right? And so there are so many agents that can be built over time, but every agent has one common property. They get their inference from the power nodes. They don't take the data out of the professional node. The data stays in the custody of the doctor, and there is full traceability of what the agent saw, what the agent did. So they have HIPAA compliance, they have insurance compliance, they have ethical compliance. They also know where the inference came from. It's not just some made up stuff that AI just invented and gave you some wrong answers. And that becomes really important when people's lives or law is at work, right? Just as an example, this. Recently, there was a lawyer who lost their license I think it was in Kentucky or Kansas, I don't remember, but they used ChatGPT, fed them the whole ChatGPT or some cloud-based AI, and they fed them the case file, and the AI invented a case that doesn't exist to prove their point, basically made it up. And they filed that case, that brief in front of the judge. The judge identified this to be, or the clerk identified this to be a completely made up, fictitious. And that's complete violation of your legal ethics, right? And the lawyer got disbarred. And that's a life-changing outcome, right? You thought you were trying to move things along. We have cases where doctors have used ChatGPT for things that have not worked out well for the patient's health. So you need custom trained models. So you can access the models. If you want to build a new model, you can, You can deploy it on your own power node, you can deploy it on somebody else's power node, and then pay rent. So in that sense, you are effectively, you control the AI supply chain. This is what I like to say. By 3, you can own the node and make money from anybody using the network, which is obviously the core participation point. You can use the network with a professional node. You don't need to have a power node to use it. And then you're paying somebody else to use their power node. And that's really the two scenarios. So if you as a doc don't want to have this device in your, in your office, some doctors want to have 10 of them. Somebody might say, I don't want to deal with that. I just will use PAI3 agents. Then it'll automatically let you manage that through the professional node. So you have two very clear use cases, right? Use PAI3, you need a professional node. Own PAI3, you need a power node.
Definitely. And so I saw the article last week. Power node sales went live. 3,141 nodes are available, which is a very scarce number, right? I mean, that's
It is.
We've talked about all the benefits of using PAI3, using a PAI3 network, and we know also the benefit of being part of that network infrastructure, to where you're benefiting from global usage. You can not only be a participant, you can also own your own power node and run that yourself. So let's talk about some of the nodes that are in use. You mentioned the clinics in Florida, right? So how many nodes are currently in use right now?
Yeah. So total nodes are 3,141, which, in our opinion, of course, all numbers in PAI3 are based on the Greek symbol pi. So, and we like the infinite nature of the pi. And I think in many ways, AI is infinitely powerful. So we adopted a 3.14. And after that, you just continue for as many trillions of digits as you like. So that's where 3141 comes from, is this the value of PAI3 multiplied by 1,000. So that's how we concluded. Now, in terms of how many nodes are enough, how many are not, look, our goal is to be decentralized, but our goal is also to make sure there's a strong incentive for you to own this infrastructure. So what we didn't want to do is to keep minting more and more nodes, and in that sense, you get more decentralization, but then the rewards also get diluted, right? Because everybody's sharing in the inference revenue, and if you're sharing with 3,000, co-parties, you are looking at very substantial income. If you are sharing it with 30 million people, you're looking at very diluted income. So in that sense, we decided that we will limit the node size to enough to have a widespread physical footprint that's decentralized. But at the same time, we don't want to be in a situation where you, as a node owner, don't get much, revenue from it. So that's one thing. The second thing is that, we have sold a little bit north of 450 nodes so far. The nodes cost $31,000 each, and they will grow in price. So right now the nodes are on sale at $31,415. Again, the value of the Greek symbol pi. And we are giving people a tax holiday till end of the month. So you don't have to pay sales tax or VAT, which can be 20% in some countries. You don't have to pay for shipping. You don't have to pay for insurance. You basically pay $31,415, and the node arrives at your desktop, at your home, whether you live in Netherlands or whether you live in Namibia. It doesn't matter. Barring about 10 countries where we won't ship the node, 190 countries you can buy a node. The node will arrive, and once you plug it in, you are powering the PAI3 network. So now, in terms of how many you need to run a clinic, you don't need a single node to run a clinic because the nodes are already operational. So we have more than 50 nodes that are live as of right now. As more and more nodes are manufactured and shipped, more and more nodes will come online. We expect that by end of this year, we'll have more than 1,000 nodes online, which will give us a very diverse footprint across the world. And those nodes are interconnected to form a mesh. So, and then we do think that we will sell out all our 3,000 nodes, in a very relatively short time frame, because, I personally like to own something, not just something, in my crypto wallet, not just something that's being, that's living in purely in the ether where I don't see any physical ownership. I love to see, things that I own. So this is a very important thing, that you actually own the physical device, and it's a relatively compact, and it's also very low heat footprint, even though it's very densely packed device, it's still a very easy to put in the corner of your desk and enjoy looking at it, but that's all you have to do. So that's where we are. In terms of a clinic, they own, I believe, 25 nodes, 25 power nodes, but they're doing that not because they need it for themselves. They see the value of being an AI operator. So a node owner is an AI operator, and they love the idea. The CEO loved the idea of saying, "Hey, I run a pretty successful, large, multi-location clinic for children, but I also want to be in the AI space." So he got into it because he wants to be. He feels like he missed out on Bitcoin mining, right? And many of us did. So he wants to not miss out on AI mining, and I think he's right because Bitcoin's been the new gold standard, but AI inference is going to be more valuable than anything we have ever seen before. If you're mining AI inference, you're mining something more valuable.
Yeah, yeah, it's something everybody's going to use, and we think about
Absolutely.
that. Bitcoin mining, Ethereum mining. We know what happened to people that got in early with that, and this is it's a tokenized structure, right? Because the network is going to reward those that are running the network. But when I think back to Bitcoin and Ethereum mining, I did some Ethereum mining for a little while back in the day, and my wife always complained about the heat, right? So this device, I mean, one with the technology we have today and the way you mentioned the pack the devices, you mentioned low heat earlier. What can someone expect in terms of heat and energy costs to run?
So, yeah, it's a really great question. We've designed it with a lot of heat sinks and other heat management built into this device. But generally speaking, that you're talking about the equivalent of about $12 a month in electrical usage. So you're not talking about nuclear power data centers and all that stuff. And I think that a lot of the mania around AI infrastructure is more ego driven. Because if you really think about it, my data center is bigger than your data center madness is more an egotistical view, because the reality is Moore's law still applies, right? And every 18 months, you're going to have twice the compute power and half the cost. And I believe that we have solved the real problem of AI, that instead of AI being powered by some giga factory in Texas owned by some one guy, powered by taxpayer dollars for $2 trillion and numbers these guys throw around, you actually could just build and as PAI3 is doing, a truly decentralized network that can solve majority of the inference needs of people by simply having individually scalable device that not only serves your need as a business, but serves 100 other businesses around you. So I'm not a believer in this over centralization, egotistical, I'm going to be the next trillionaire mindset. To me, Web3 is about decentralization. It's about restoring power and participation to consumers and to average person. And we seem to be drifting further and further away from anything that's fair and accessible and open in the AI space, right? Because of the ultra wealthy corporations and individuals feeling like this is their personal play domain. So I'm not at all in favor of that. So this is why we designed the physical infrastructure. This is why we said we will let anybody have the device. You don't need to have certain style of, hair or ethnicity to get it. And once you plug it in, you are as much an operator of an AI infrastructure as anybody else. And over time, we'll upgrade it. Every 18 to 24 months, we will help you upgrade your device so you can make more money. Because in the end, the amount of inference you mine is the amount of money you make, right? And by restricting the supply, I really wanted to achieve the Bitcoin effect for AI. So, you're only talking 3,000 nodes. So if you think about how pervasive AI is fast becoming, and if you think about how many businesses need to run AI without sacrificing their privacy or their trade secrets to XAI, without worrying about how much are they listening and snooping, or how much will my conversations in X are going to be fed into XAI, all this insanity that we see right now, business can't afford that. As a people, we can say, oh, well, that was not really cool, but let's move on. But as a business, you go out of business when somebody steals your information and pumps it into an AI engine without your permission. You lose your license as a doctor. So the real world doesn't run on yeah, take my data. Thank you very much for letting me chat with the chatbot, but you can have all my information in return for that. That trade-off that we are doing is not really, business cannot make that trade-off. So our view is that 3,000 nodes run by individuals or corporations around the world with no concentration of power. Nodes can be individually upgraded, and we expect that they'll be upgraded every 18 to 24 months, and we're going to make sure that you have enough revenue to be able to do that and make more and more revenue. So I think that the scarcity of the node is a great tool to bring people in, but then the scalability of the node is a great tool to deal with any demand.
Awesome. Another question that comes up is support and maintenance on the power node. So, what type of support is available when someone sets up a power node? You've already talked about how easy it is to set up, plug in, connect to the network. You don't need a tech team to do it.
No.
You just can basically, and I think even people that are very challenged with tech, everybody's got the idea of setting up a device and connecting it to Wi-Fi. I mean, I think of how many devices in my house now that are connected to Wi-Fi. My washing machine, my refrigerator, all these different devices, light bulbs. That so that's a process that people can understand or familiar with. But what kind of post-sale support is there available if someone maybe if there's an issue with a node? I know you had mentioned there's some programs available for that.
Yeah, there's a lot built in, so you don't have to really do much. So when you open the box, it's a beautifully packed box. We want you to have an Apple type experience of opening it. You open it, you plug it into power, and you connect it to it using the app. It leads you through the one step, give us your Wi-Fi login and password that you want to use. It'll connect to Wi-Fi, it'll bring up the dashboard, and you don't have to go to the dashboard anyway. That's all you have to do is really connect it to your Wi-Fi, and you're done. And you have you can control the node through a Google login, through an Apple ID, through an email. You connect your MetaMask, you can connect your base wallet to it, and you see the dashboard where you see how much money the node has made for you. And even if you don't look at it ever again, it's making money for you. So that's the node is basically plug and play. Open it, plug it in, you're done. It's simple enough where my mom is about to turn 80 next month, so we're gonna be celebrating her 80th birthday. She has 10 nodes running in her house, and all she did was open it up and connect it. Right? I showed her how to do the first, and then she did the remaining 9 by herself. So she's powering, not that she needs AI for her home, but she needs it because she wants to be part of this ecosystem and she wants to stay ahead of the game like everybody else. So, and she's earning tokens every second. So the nodes come with rewards. So first 3 years, you're going to earn rewards even if nobody uses your node at all. That's not the case at all. The nodes are being consumed as they are being launched, but even if you don't use them, you earn rewards. So guaranteed rewards for 3 years. Every second you get additional tokens in your node wallet. If you have 10 nodes, you get 10 times the tokens every second. So those PAI3 tokens are appearing in your wallet. If it's MetaMask, it'll show up in MetaMask. If it's your base wallet, it'll show up in base. And if you don't have any wallet, then your Google ID will connect you to an automatically provisioned wallet, which you don't need to worry about. And you will see your tokens appear. So in a nutshell, plug and play, and then start earning. And then as people start using the network more, you earn more and more and more, right? It's not just the rewards you get.
Right.
In terms of support, the nodes are self-healing. So if a model fails to run, it will report it. It will automatically pull down the fresh copy of that model that's authorized to run on the power nodes. If it has any maintenance issues, it will report that issue to us, so we will monitor. So we have a global dashboard to monitor health of every node. We can see if a node is out of date in terms of models, and we can force push a download. Not that we have to, we haven't had to do that. If your node goes offline, we monitor that. If node stays online for a long period of time, we'll notify you that your node is offline. Maybe the power cord got pulled out. Maybe you lost electricity in your basement, whatever. So we are monitoring everything. You can monitor it yourself. You have the same dashboard as we, but as we move forward, we're going to allow community monitors to earn by being the monitors. So nothing should be hidden. So there is a role in the community called community monitors, which are essentially they earn, and their job is to monitor for node failures. And if there's any node failure, they report it first. They earn the bounty, if you will. So In that sense, we are going to decentralize the monitoring function as well. And through that, we'll decentralize also the support function. So nothing in this ecosystem should be in the control of PAI3 team, right? That's our objective. So it's other than once our nodes are sold out, it's a fully decentralized protocol for distribution of tokens. It's a decentralized monitoring of the nodes. It's a fully decentralized updating of the nodes. So you shouldn't have any issues. You don't need to know anything about crypto, Web3, blockchain, AI to run a PAI3 node and do very well in the long run.
Nice. And so we've touched on the revenue that's available, right? Can we break down those revenue streams for people that are listening for a Power Node owner?
Sure.
Right. You mentioned guaranteed tokens. We talk a little bit more about that.
So Power Nodes today cost 31,000. They're going to start increasing in price at every tier. So every 500 node tier met, the price goes up. So right now we're approaching the second tier. And also the tax holiday will end. So between now and September 30th, we expect to be past the first tier. Second tier, there's no tax holiday. You pay for taxes and insurance and shipping, but you also, the price will be up about 10% higher than the tier one. And it keeps stepping up all the way till all the nodes are sold. So the last buyer of the last node will pay closer to 60,000. Right now it's 31,000. So price will double. But that's based on available supply, right? As the supply decreases, price steps up. The second thing is all nodes earn 150,000 PAI3 tokens over 3 years. So you earn them every second. So you earn a fraction of the token every second, but you earn 150,000 PAI3 tokens over 3 years. And we've calibrated that to be roughly the cost of your node. So what the TGE price for PAI3 token is multiplied by 150,000 pays for the price of the node today. So the idea is that you get back enough tokens to pay off your node, right? And if nobody is using, somehow we all decide as humanity that AI is not for humanity, and we are all going away and going back to abacus and paper calculators, then you still get those tokens. But of course, that's an extreme and silly case. But the point is to make sure that the node owners have enough tokens to justify their operations for at least 3 years. That gives us time to build up network utility and to get everybody to use it in business, in government, in personal, especially in DeFi and areas where Web3 wants to go. Those areas, we believe we are a much better alternative than the cloud-based systems that we all rely upon. So that's the model. So in a nutshell, you get back 150,000 tokens. They come bundled with the node. So they offset the cost of your node and operating the node. So it's a subsidy, basically, to help you run the node. Then you earn as people use AI. So, for example, the way it works is, let's say you're a doctor and you want to run scheduling agent, right? You want to make it easy for your patients to schedule visits to your office, and you don't want to have a front-end office do it because they normally work 9 to 4. So then anybody calls in after hours, you use a dispatch service. So a lot of reasons why the current framework is just too inefficient. And we all know that any of us who have tried to get hold of a doctor, a pediatrician, or whoever at 3 p.m. or 7 p.m. on a Friday afternoon, forget it. You're not going to reach the doc, right? You will get a call. You will get a first. You will call the office, and they're going to get sent. They'll send you to some call center who will say, "Let me get in touch with the doctor." Then 3 hours later, they'll say, "Doctor is not available. You better go to ER." Or it's just really not functional. We all know that. So if you put up an agent, PAI3 agent that lets you do scheduling, which can escalate the issue based on the actual need, and the doctor's office is reorganized to actually do that, to actually handle proper scheduling, then the agent will replace 2 or 3 people, and it will also do a really good job of getting the patient in front of the doctor. And let's say this agent costs $500 a month to run, which is nothing because the doc's probably spending $10,000 a month on scheduling service right now. So let's say we price the agent at $500 a month. Now every month the doctor writes a check for $500 to the PAI3, which gets converted into PAI3 tokens immediately, and those get deposited into the network wallet. And it splits 2 ways automatically. 20% goes to the network, 80% goes to the agent, right? Whoever built the agent. And you decide when you build the agent how much you want to charge. Maybe your agent is so cool that you want to charge $1,000 a month. Okay, great. $200 will go into Pi3's network wallet, and 800 will go into the agent wallet. The 200 tokens that Pi3 network takes from the top, it burns 25% of them right away. So in effect, $50 worth of tokens are burnt the moment Pi3 network gets them. So, $1,000 were collected from the doctor, $50 got burned. And then $50 were going to an insurance pool, which is guarantees that the agents behave. They don't do bad things. So when a doctor is using an agent, they know that this agent isn't just some kid who wrote it and threw it on the network and I'm risking my life and my patients' lives with it. It's a certified agent which is insured by Pi3 protocol. So $50 goes into the insurance pool. $50 get burnt, as I mentioned. $50 goes into sponsoring new agents, right? And $50 goes towards operations. So that's how $200 gets split. So then the $50 that goes into sponsoring new agents is used to help. It includes paying the node operators maybe additional rewards and giving agent builders more incentives. So that money is growing into a pool to help grow the network. And the last 50%, $50 goes into running the operations, be it partnerships or marketing or compliance or patents or whatever you have. It has tons of operating needs. So that's how the revenue goes. 50 into 50 burnt, 50 into risk pool, which can never be used unless there is a problem. They are non-liquid tokens. 50 into the community to build and grow the community, and 50 into operations. That's the $200 out of 1,000. The 800 goes to the node, to the agent. Now the agent needs compute power. So then that $800 gets split between node operators and the agent. So if I'm the one who authored the agent and I'm the one who's published the agent on Pi3 network, then I will have to pay, let's imagine out of the $1,000, $400 as compute cost. So $400 gets spent straight to node operators, right? And the remaining 400 is my profit, which is collecting in my wallet. So, but then if I'm building the agent, I also need some people to back me up with, because agents are backed by stakes. So if I'm as an agent builder saying, I don't want to stake my own money, I want to have somebody else stake it, I want to delegate the stake, then your $400 that you make as a profit, you would share some of that with the stakers, right? If you bought data from third parties, let's say your agent needs very advanced clinical data. So you are buying it from some company, let's say like Change Health, and you're paying them $2 for the data usage. So as an agent builder, I may take my share of the profit and configure what is called revenue sharing arrangements with a staker, with a data contributor, with maybe a third-party certification authority, somebody who needs to review my agent and approve it. Whatever you want to do, that's up to you. But you have a lot of mechanisms to get your agent to be trustworthy, right? The whole idea of i3 is trust the agent, but it's not just some code. It's actually a person and an insurance policy behind it. So in a nutshell, 200 Pi3 network takes, 800 you take. From that $800, you pay the node operators, you pay the stakers, you pay the data contributors, you pay third-party certifiers, and whatever is left is your profit. But if your agent is well built, that 30, 40% profit you're making at the end of the day is going to add up really, really quickly. That's how it works.
Definitely. And so it's easy to see, as you mentioned, as a network grows, those that are power node owners are gonna their revenue is going to continue to increase as the network usage grows.
Yep. The power node operators literally are just providing the infra and letting AI do its thing, right? And let humanity adopt and get more familiar with AI. They are simply powering it. It's like in the gold rush. They say own the shovel and the spades and the bucket shop. So your power nodes are your shovels and spades of AI. You are owning it. It's like owning an apartment building. Other people live in it. They pay rent in it, but you are collecting the rent. You own the infra. But in the end, you're not living in the apartment. You are letting other people live. And that's how you collect your rent. So your power node is rented out to the network.
Let's also touch because I think there's some other revenue streams with that power node, right? So the tokens themselves can be staked as they come through to the power node owner. Is that correct?
Yeah. So the way it works is that the tokens that you earn are guaranteed rewards, right? They are at the end of each month. They're automatically staked for a month. So you have a 30-day rolling stake for which you get a 12% annual return on that stake. So, and that's all paid from the network itself, right? So remember I mentioned that $200 that gets split into different pieces. So the third $50 component pays out the staking returns as well. So your tokens are automatically staked, and you can at any point say, you know what, I don't want to stake them anymore. And then at the end of your stake period, you get your tokens. So its maximum wait is 30 days. So every first of each month, the tokens are going to get restaked. But if you say on the 29th, stop, then your tokens are then free on the first. 2 days later, you get them all. Or if you cancel them on the first, then you'll get them on the 30th. Either way, you have a 30-day rolling stake, which is very easy. There's no penalty to cancel it. But as long as the tokens are getting restaked, they earn 12% APR. And that comes from the revenue share of the network. The network is paying for the restaking as long as you wish to stake it.
All right. And so one last question. I know on the power node revenue, there's another element of income on the cabinets. Is that correct? I remember.
Yes. So power nodes really actually make revenue four ways total. You get the guaranteed rewards, which are 3 years, 150,000 tokens delivered every second, a component of it. Then you have the inference mining that you do for others. So when agents use the PAI3 network, they pay for inference, you get the share of that revenue. If you are the primary compute node, you get bulk of it. If you're a network node that didn't really do the primary compute, you get a share of it. But everybody's getting a piece of the revenue of every inference call that ever happens. It's kind of like owning Amazon Web Services, right? Every time anybody uses anything on AWS for any purpose, Jeff Bezos' company makes money. Same thing here. Instead of revenue going to some corporation, it comes to you, right? So that's the second, the inference mining revenue share. The third piece of this is the staking revenue. So whatever revenue you're earning, it automatically gets staked and you earn on top of it. And the fourth piece of this is cabinet revenue. So yeah, as I mentioned earlier, as a doctor, I may not own a power node, but I have lots of patients and I need to manage their data and I want to run agents against that data. So then I can lease cabinets from a power node or power nodes. And those cabinets are in my control. They're linked to my wallet, so they're not accessible to the node operator. But those cabinets give me storage capacity to handle all my patients. And you normally would assign one cabinet per patient, so you would have hundreds of thousands of patients. You might have hundreds of thousands of cabinets, and you pay for those cabinets approximately $2 per cabinet per year. It's very affordable, and that makes it possible for me to run a very large business enterprise, or even as a government agency, a large number of citizens I can serve. And if I don't want to run a power node, great, I just lease cabinets from other nodes. That's how that works. And the node operators get paid the annual revenue from that. And as the compute, and that's kind of how we see, not kind of, that's the mechanism through which we see that node operators will continuously upgrade their nodes every 18 months or so, because then they can have more cabinets and they can make even more revenue. So it's really a simple equation of your node is your AI mining rig. It also has a storage capability, and instead of putting your data on Apple Cloud, you put them on Power Node cabinets.
Gotcha. And so with that scaling, I think it's important to clarify. You mentioned upgrade the node, but that's what most people think. All right, at full capacity of the network, how does the network grow if there's only 3,141? So you get that distinction between the 3141 is it, I guess, the node licenses, and then being able to add extra devices to that network. Like each node operator will be able to add devices and or upgrade the storage. Is that correct?
Yeah, so there are three ways you can upgrade a node. So first is you can just as more denser hardware becomes available, you can physically replace your node with a newer version, right? These devices currently, right now they're brand new, so there's no need to upgrade them. But in 18 months' time, let's say you are looking to upgrade your device, you would request that from Pi3 will ship you a much newer version of the Pi3 node, and there'll be a certain price attached to that. But if it makes sense, you will upgrade it. If you wait, of course, you can choose to wait and say, you know what, I want to wait till I earn more money and then I'll upgrade it. That's up to you. So that's the first thing. The second thing is you can daisy chain them. So once all the 33,000 nodes are sold, we will allow the daisy chaining. So then you can take two devices, daisy chain them, and they still represent one node, but you have twice the compute, twice the storage, twice the memory. So that daisy chaining is an option, is absolutely an option and is encouraged. And the third option that you have is that we have some components of the device are field upgradable. So storage can be upgraded by yourself. So we will allow you to do partial upgrades. So either you just upgrade the storage or you replace the device or you daisy chain them. Those are your three ways. But you are long ways from that because for the next couple of years, what you are buying today is going to be more than sufficient for you to mine AI. But over time, there are three different upgrade paths. And the simplest one is daisy chain a new device. Your old device is doing what it's doing. You just plug in the next one.
Right.
And as far as all the nodes are controlled by your personal NFT. So every node is a license and hardware. So your license is in the form of an NFT. Your hardware is your hardware. They're tightly coupled together. So if and the other side is if your node gets stolen, destroyed, it doesn't matter because you have your NFTs in your wallet and you just put a replacement hardware in and you're done.
Right. And I think the question a lot of people have is, I'm a node owner, right? I have a device. I want to daisy chain another one. Am I paying 31,000 for that device as well?
No, it is a fraction of that cost. So, we anticipate, of course, the cost of compute will keep coming down. Right now, the cost of a replacement device is about 10,000. I think in about 18 months, you're going to be closer to 7,000 for equal or faster device. And that's Moore's law at work. You can have more dense capacity. You can have cheaper hardware, cheaper memory, cheaper disk. Eventually, we're going to get down to where, the daisy chaining or plugging in a device is a trivial expense. But right now, given the density of GPU, CPU, memory, SSD, RAID, heat pump, all that stuff, the device is about 10 grand, but it will start to come down. In 18 months, it'll be, I would say, 30% cheaper. That's my expectation.
Nice. So we talked about network growth, network usage. You touched on it earlier, but I want to go a little bit deeper in terms of how does Pi3 stand apart from other decentralized compute projects? When you think about obviously the Chat GPTs, the Groks, the Geminis, everything else, like those, you're solving a problem that they can't, right? So that's. But when you look at specifically what Pi3 is doing, what does that competitive landscape look like right now?
Well, I mean, we are trying to do things the way there's nothing wrong with the cloud-based AI. For many use cases, and I use almost all the AI engines every day. And there are things that I'm perfectly fine asking questions about, like what's the height of Mount Everest? Fine. My kid wanted to know that last night. So we're like, hey, Chat GPT, what's the height? And you could ask Google the same question. It's not really that difficult. But you can use centralized AI for what it is built for. But when it comes to using AI on personal or professional data, that's not an option. And if you do it, you're doing it only because you're hoping you're not going to get caught. Because when you do get caught, it's going to be, or you're hoping that you sharing your personal data isn't going to come back and bite you, which it will. It's only a matter of time. So centralized cloud-based AI is getting people familiar with AI, which is a good thing. It's letting you use it in ways where it's helpful. No problem with that. But when you come to AI that needs to be very intimate with you, that needs to understand your life, your family, your medical history, your finances, then you need private AI. So that's what Pi3 gives you. So both have a place in the world, right? There is no such thing as my way is the only way. Absolutely not. And PAI3 is solving a problem that the centralized AI models cannot solve because they are by definition centralized, and their revenue model depends upon everybody using the same thing. In our world, you can customize models. You can choose what models you want to use. The PAI3 Power Node comes densely packed with a lot of models, and different agent builders can choose which model they want to run, OSS or Gemini Llama this or Gemini that. And we will keep upgrading and pushing more models on air to PAI3 nodes. You don't have to do anything. If a great new model comes out of MIT in 3 months and it's proven to be solid, we'll push it to the PAI3 node, and it's done. And every PAI3 node is now running this cool new diffusion model or SLM, because the LLMs will be replaced with domain models, and the LLMs will be replaced with small language models. So you're going to see all this evolution of models, right? It's kind of like databases, right? I always say when I was a university student growing up in computing world, there was a war, right? There was a religious war between Oracle and Sybase and IBM and Informix, and they were all trying to convince you that their databases are the best. They were commoditized within 10 years. Now, nobody now asks the question what database is behind your website. No, they don't even know. Same thing will happen to models. But the question is, if you own the infra to run the models, no matter which model dominates or no model dominates, that makes you horizontal, right? Makes you perpetually relevant. So in that sense, the model wars will come and model wars will end, but the PAI3 infrastructure will serve everybody better and better. So I don't see a problem with I have objections to the way they consume our data, but cloud-based AI has a use and purpose in many use cases, but there are millions of use cases where cloud-based AI doesn't work. That's where PAI3 AI comes in.
Gotcha. All right, Pradeep. So a lot of great information here, and also back real quick on the user experience side, you're talking about pushing updates. So the user doesn't have to constantly check for updates. The owner of the
Nothing.
project doesn't have to check for updates and manually
No.
update anything. It's going to
That's
be
community approved. So right now it's PAI3 approved, but the community monitors will have the authority to vote on a model and then approve it for distribution. And all 3,000 nodes will get it overnight. But no, the PAI3 node operators literally should be counting, the electricity bill, which should be hopefully under $20. It clearly is around $15, $12, $11 right now in the US. And making sure that your Wi-Fi is connected and that you are on the network, and that's it. You don't have to really do anything.
awesome. So Pradeep, as we start to wrap up, what one, let's start with where can people find out more about Pi3? They're interested in power nodes. Where can they get more information right now?
So it's very easy. Go to pi3.ai, click on the nodes link, see the types of nodes, professional and power. If you're a pure user, all you want to do is to use AI, download the professional node. If you are a power node operator, you want to actually own and operate AI infrastructure, download the power node. Look at the power node. There's on the page right there is the ability to buy it. You can buy it using credit card. You can buy it using a bank transfer. You can buy it using most ERC20 tokens, ETH and USDC and USDT on both Ethereum and Binance Smart Chain. So it's pretty straightforward. Once you purchase it, the node will be shipped to you. Once you open it, plug it in, you are in the Pi3 network and you are a co-owner of the network. And that's as simple as that. Right now, we are running at about 3 to 4 weeks from the day of placing the order for the node ships. And obviously, there's a backlog and demand growing. So expect the node to arrive, no matter where in the world you are, accounting for shipment and so on. 30 days from the day you buy it, it will show up. Also, if you want to save on taxes and VAT and shipping and insurance, then you have a 14-day window left to buy them. After that, you will pay the node price and whatever VAT your government, wherever you live, will charge you. But right now, for the next 2 weeks, we're going to eat all the cost of your local taxes, your customs duty, your shipping costs, your insurance. Everything is covered. You literally pay one price and it arrives at your doorstep. And we ship it insured. If it gets lost in shipping, gets damaged, don't worry about it. It's fully insured.
Awesome. And if someone's listening to this and they're considering, but they have questions, where should they go to get those questions answered?
So we have Telegram chat for Pi3. Look it up. The Pi3 Nation is the name of the Telegram. chat. You have a Pi3X account, which is being monitored. You have information, info at pi3.ai. Write us an email. You can go to our contact form on our website, fill out a form and say, I have a question. You can set up a call. We have a Calendly link where you can request a one-on-one call. We'll set it up for you and join. So any which way that works for you, Telegram, WhatsApp, X, email, Calendly, you pick, we will support you. Because our goal is to make sure that enough diversity of node operators lives in the world so that collectively we own a network that is humanly accessible to every human being on the planet, but at the same time, we are providing infrastructure they can trust. It's all about having trust in your AI. And when we talk about why Pi3 exists, is so that you can trust the AI that you use.
Awesome. Well, yeah, it's been great getting all this information from you, Pradeep. Definitely looking forward to following Pi3 and watching this network come alive. You solve a real problem in the world, and so definitely looking forward to that. Any final words before we wrap up?
Yeah, I want to mention that every Power node comes with a FIO handle. So FIO is built into the Pi3 nodes, and that gives you all the value that the FIO your team are building in terms of sending and receiving funds and everything the FIO handle does. So every Power node comes with a FIO handle. So that's something that we decided to do to give people more decentralized communication, payments capability. Regardless of the Pi3 node, how heavily it's being utilized, you also have the ability to be able to communicate on the FIO protocol as a result of owning the Pi3 node. So that's why we're very appreciative of what the FIO team is doing, and we think that what you guys have done is amazing. So we embedded that into a FIO handle into the Pi3 Power node.
Thank you. Yeah, and that's important. I mean, user experience. We've talked about that a lot with the Power Node and using Pi3. When you incorporate blockchain technology and tokens, it just it extends that usability. So this the partnership just made sense from the beginning.
It did. It
So excited
does.
to have you as a partner.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Likewise.
So with that, yeah, with that, Pradeep, thanks again for joining us today. It's been a pleasure having you on. Thanks everyone for listening, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Take care, everyone.
Thank you, Wayne. Thanks, everyone.